Today we get to answer the question of what it might look like if Joe Manchin got less shitty over time. Because this week's Political Figure episode is about another coal country senator, Bob Casey Jr. of Pennsylvania. Bob Patrick Casey Jr. III was born April 13th, 1960 in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I'm just kidding, there's no the third in his name, but it really feels like there should be. Being the son of Bob Casey Sr., the 42nd governor of Pennsylvania, you could say that he had a little bit of a privileged upbringing. He went to Scranton Prep School, was a jock, played basketball, and if you can't tell by the name, they were very Irish Catholic, so much so that he went to College of the Holy Cross. Then he went on to get his Juris Doctor from the Catholic University of America. He also volunteered with the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, which is apparently like a more Jesus-y version of the Peace Corps, I guess. He also taught 5th grade for a year and coached basketball, but then he went on to be a lawyer, I'm assuming because lawyers get paid, like real money people can survive off of. And apparently we don't think teachers are worth that. He practiced law until 1996 when he decided to get into politics and ran for and won Pennsylvania state auditor. In 2002, he tried to be like daddy and run for governor, but he lost that primary, so in 2005, he ran for state treasurer and he won that. Then in 2006, he ran for Senate at the request of Chuck Schumer and Harry Reid. He won and has served in the Senate ever since. Now, Pennsylvania is so purple, it's amazing that they don't choke every year right around the time of NFL playoffs. So sometimes, to be successful out there in coal country, you've got to be painfully moderate, almost conservative, borderline making people question why the fuck you call yourself a Democrat. Joe Manchin. In many ways, Casey very much used to fit this bill. He used to be very much pro-gun, but that did change after Sandy Hook, and now has supported pretty much all gun control legislation. I have my feelings about that, but I do gotta give him a little bit of credit because while all gun control ends up being inherently racist and classist, even when it isn't intended to be, he did show that there could be exceptions to that rule when he authored the Hate Crimes Prevention Act, which would have stopped people convicted of hate crimes from buying a gun. That is definitely some gun control I can get behind because fuck people who commit hate crimes. But it didn't pass. And then abortion. For a long time, he was incredibly anti-choice. It was a bad look, Bob. In fact, he was so anti-abortion that he supported the confirmations of Roberts and Alito because he figured they would overturn Roe. Good job, Bob. He also voted in 2015 and 2018 in favor of a 20-week abortion ban, unsurprisingly with Joe Manchin both times. But on the bright side, he has evolved on this issue. It was a little later than most and took him a lot longer than it should have, but he is now staunchly a reliable pro-choice senator. And now for the past few years, he's been a vocal supporter of codifying abortion rights, and he supported every single piece of pro-choice policy and education that has come up. His tax policies as well have evolved a tad. In 2012, he wanted to give employers tax credits for adding jobs and extend their payroll tax cuts, which is not horrible tax policy, but it's certainly not great. That too has evolved to the point where he voted against and had called out the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act for being just a handout to the wealthy, which it was. But hey, he hasn't been behind the times on everything. He's been a long-time solid supporter of equitable immigration reform and of migrants' rights, and not just in voting record and rhetoric. In 2017, he left a black tie event to go join protesters at the Philadelphia International Airport who were protesting Trump's 2017 Muslim travel ban. He's been a longtime supporter of LGBTQ rights, voting to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He supported civil unions before gay marriage was legal, and has always supported same-sex couples' rights to adopt children. On Israel, he has officially asked for a ceasefire, and he's pushed on the Biden administration to do more humanitarian efforts in Gaza. That said, he still votes to continue funding it and kind of took the wrong side on the campus protester issue, so some lip service is nice. Could be worse, but it's not great. On a better note, he's authored a couple bills aimed at tackling price gouging and fighting shrinkflation. It would have made it illegal for companies to sell you smaller packages of stuff and charge the same price. I don't think either of those have passed yet either, but the thought and the effort is appreciated. He's worked at expanding community development projects to bring down housing prices. He opposes voucher programs, is a pretty strong supporter of education, was a very outspoken critic of Betsy DeVos. In fact, he's an outspoken critic of pretty much everything Trump, so he's got that going for him. He's been a pretty strong supporter of workers' rights, especially the rights of coal miners, which is obviously important to Pennsylvania. So Bob's on the rightish side of most issues, and by that I mean slightly more left. He seemingly continues to get more right by going more left. It's confusing, but it's good. We like to see our politicians learn and grow and evolve. Even if he's been a little slow on a few things, at least we know he can do it. What's more important, though, is that he's more on the correct side of basically everything than his opponent, Dave McCormick. The same Dave McCormick who served a couple positions in the Bush administration before going on to be the CEO of one of the largest hedge funds in the world, Bridgewater, which are both bad things. Big red flags there. Hedge fund CEOs already do plenty of damage every day. We don't need to allow them to cut out the lobbying middlemen and save the money by just directly writing the legislation themselves. So while Bob Casey could certainly be better on a lot of things, Dave McCormick will be a hell of a lot worse on everything. So it's my hope that Pennsylvania plans on sending Bob back to DC again in November.